Good morning, Central Texas. Welcome to Kids Community Connections, 103.1 Kids FM, where we bring the community to you and you to the community. I'm Phyllis Jones, your host for this morning, and we're going to have a learning morning. You know, I've got Councilman Greg Johnson here, and you know what? He got a book, a binder, cell phone. He don't know I'm still going to catch him off guard. He think he got this. He just wait. But before we get into it, I'm gonna let you know what's going to happen on the 6th of August, which is next Saturday. It is a busy day. How you gonna do this? I don't know, but this is what's going on. So we're gonna start off. First of all, the Bell County Expo Center will have a health fair. So the Bell County Health Department is doing a health fair at the Bell County Expo Center from 10 to 2 on next Saturday, and yes, it's free to the public. So that will be going on. Also, there's going to be a youth basketball camp, Corey Jefferson Youth Basketball Camp. It will be Saturday, August 6th, ages 7 to 17. And it's going to be at Killeen High School. Registration, you can register now. And the number, what's the website address? It's www.Corey, CORYJJAY 34.com. That's going to happen on Saturday. You have a back to school drive. It's going to be at, where am I at? Okay, here we go. I'm looking for the name of the church. It's going to be a Praise and Deliverance Church Ministries at 315 North Gray Street in Killeen, and it's going to be from 9 to 12. Then we have, so, don't think we're over with yet, because we're not. We have another back to school event, and it's going to be a Church of Deliverance, which is 3121 Commerce Drive in Killeen, and it's going to be from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., and it's the Mary Turner Back to School Gala, and it's for kids starting at age 6. So that's another event for you to go to. How you gonna make all these events? I have no clue, but here they all are. And there's another back to school event. It's also Saturday, August 6th, excuse me, and it's from 5. Oh, this one's different. It's from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this one is going to be at the new Sunkiss Community Center, which is 814 West Avenue C in Killeen. So it's going to be in the evening, so I think you might be able to make that one and fit that into the busy day schedule. Am I finished? Of course not. Because also what you have going on in Killeen on Saturday, August 6th, is the Caribbean Afram Festival. And it'll be at Long Branch Park. It's an all-day event. They're going to have a parade there. You're going to have vendors. You got just a lot of things going on. It's going to start at noon to 10 p.m. So that's your whole evening. And after that, from 10, when it ends, to 2 in the morning, the bands and the after party would be at Glendora's, which is 715 North, 17 South Veterans Memorial. So your Saturday, just sleep early on Friday. Just go to bed early, because Saturday, these are your events. And if any of you know me, you can go to my Facebook page, and they're all on there. So for those who say nothing happens in Killeen, I just told you Saturday is a rollerblade day. But I always like to highlight our young people. I really do, because I like when they do stuff. And there's a young man. His name is Breon, and he's having a grand opening of his business. It's going to be B&D Media Solutions and Print. His grand opening is Monday, August 1st. So we need to be there, support him. He's having, and his address, is 801 North 2nd Street in Killeen. So Monday, August 1st, we need to go and say hi to him. He's a young man. He's under 30. He's opened up his own business. And I think when, young people do something, we need to support it. Check it out, visit him, talk to him. Helpful hints and suggestions. Don't tell him what to do, because he obviously he's opened up a business. But we need to support our young people, because when they do things and we don't, the assumption is that we don't care. And That's not true. We actually we do care. So we don't want them to think that we don't. We do want to support them. So like I said, come go out. And all the events I named are on my Facebook page. So if you know me, go to my Facebook, which is Phyllis Jones. And they're all sitting there waiting on you to find them. Okay, now you know we're going to go to the city of Killeen now. That's a long one. You know, in our city, we have, it's for our council people right now, it's budget time because our city is broke. So unless Joe sitting here got $8 million check to write for the city of Killeen, there's going to have to be some work to be done. So Greg has got all of his stuff. I think we're going to give him more space because he got just spread out there. So Greg, are you ready?
I'm ready. I don't know what questions you're going to ask, so I'm trying to be prepared. I'm getting used to it.
But the first thing is this. Okay, with the budget, and you all have it, what can the citizens do to give input? What kind of input can citizens do for the city council to look at, think about? What can we do?
That's a great question, Phyllis. I think as starters, as the budget is being presented to council and throughout the budget process, it's important for citizens and taxpayers to show up to these city council workshops. And all city council workshops and regular meetings are open to the public. And so they can sit in the audience and become informed citizens and listen to the debates and the presentations of each department. That is a starter. Second is to, if you see areas that can be cut or areas that we can look for efficiencies, and this is just normal everyday things that you see. For example, I had a citizen email me yesterday saying that why are the fire engines sitting in the HEB parking lot for an hour and a half using premium gas while the firefighters are shopping? And I thought about that and I said, well, that's it is a issue. But as I go into the proposed budget of the fire department, it's almost $800,000 in overtime. And so those are small things that citizens can make aware to city council members. That way we can ask those questions and find those efficiencies.
Such as, I think I mentioned it to you. I don't know if I did or not. It's a lady, I don't know why she asked me. I really don't know because I'm not a guru and I have no clue. Although it sounded really dumb. You probably did have it, but she was saying that she found out that the city last summer I don't know if they're doing it this year, that they watered the golf course with bottled water, which would have cost us a lot of money. A whole lot of money because the golf course isn't small. And I couldn't figure, it didn't make sense to me, but then again, after I asked someone else who's a lawn professional, he explained why they probably did that. But my point is that's a lot of money.
Yes.
And she brought it to me, and I told her I would bring it to you to say, if they do this, excuse me, but there's a problem.
Well, I would tell you what, I remember you bringing that question to me. And right now we are in the budget process where each department is presenting their budgets. And so parks and the golf course district, golf course falls under community services, and that will be during the August 9th city council workshop. So I do have that question down to as Brent Williams is giving his presentation for his entire department.
So we can we can ask questions like that.
Sure can. Any. I would tell you the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask.
Correct.
And so
because a lot of people, we heard that they were short $8 million, but then from that, and we learned city council got the budget. But for people who don't know, we're dependent on you all to know all of it, to see all of it. When some of us see things, but no one said, hey, listen, you need to email them, you need to call them, you need to whatever. I know one day I put all the city council's phone numbers on Facebook and told people call them up.
And they did.
Because we need to know that we're a part of that. So how are you attacking and I'll say attacking because it is, how are you doing the budget? From what standpoint are you looking?
For me, I'm looking at essential expenditures versus non-essential, looking at areas that we can find efficiencies, areas that we can cut. And as you know, I'm opposed to property tax increases. I'm opposed to utility rate increases. I'm opposed to transportation to the user fees. I oppose pushing any of the financial burden on taxpayers until we take a more intense effort of cutting costs internally. I truly believe there are areas that we can cut internally, but that is a difficult process, because just because I think this is a area that we can cut, I still need 3 other votes, because majority rules, and you need 4 council members to go along with cutting anything out of the budget. So again, I'm looking at areas that we can cut, areas for efficiencies, ways that we can do things better. And I would tell you, this budget can be overwhelming at sometimes, and I would tell you how many pages this budget is this year, the proposed budget. Yeah, it's just over 400 pages.
That's a lot of work.
And this is 1011 font print.
Oh, how nice.
So it can be very intimidating at times, especially being a new council member.
Right.
Luckily, I'm a small business owner, and I've worked with budgets for the last 15 years, so I'm good about finding the revenues and expenditures, even when they're not broken down like they should be.
Okay, and you know, for the past 3 or 4, probably more than 3 years, in April, the city manager comes before the council for the raises, and then right after the raise, we short of money. That sounds like a setup. You know what I mean? It sounds like a setup, because you knew you were going to be short when you put these raises into effect. I'll say the city manager did, because the city manager runs the city. So you're putting us already in debt, and you know he's going to put us further in yet. You all go for in April, every year April, give them a raise, and then in May we find out we don't have no money. You know, my question, so where are we getting the money to pay for this raise at if we're so short? So I think they need to be switched. I mean, that's just me. It should not come in April and then we're broke in May, because we can't go that much. The raises that they got does not equal $8 million. So so somewhere or another that needs to be repaired, because every year it's April raises, yes, May we broke. So can city council work on that?
I would tell you, that is a good question. I would tell you, one of the issues that this council is faced with, and not just this council, but councils in previous and councils in the future, is that there are several departments that are, what's the word, very sensitive when it comes to public safety, and a lot of times things get approved based on emotion,
right,
but not based on financial.
Right.
And I would tell you, I was in the audience when that was approved, and several council members voted for that raise because they thought all city employees were getting a raise, and come to find out it was only the first responders and the top heavy sector of our city staff. So actually the blue collar, the harder working, in my opinion, the secretaries, the folks that work in public works, streets, transportation, those guys and gals did not get a pay raise. The only thing they got was a cost of living adjustment, which is what everybody else got as well. It was one of those decisions that at that time it sounded like a good idea because of a rate study that was done by a outside contractor, but it's also a responsibility for council when those expenditures are being proposed or brought to council for approval. Council has to take the emotion out of it, pause for a little bit, think, ask questions. Do we have this money? Do we have this money? Yes, this is the right thing to do if we want to maintain the force that we have now, but can we afford it?
Yeah.
How are we going to pay for this in the future? And I would tell you that raise cost $3 million. And we did not have the money, and we still do not have the money. And this $8 million, this $8 million deficit, what we have is a mix of those raises. We did not have the money. And we also have the COPS grant and the SAFER grants. And those two grants allowed the city to fund bringing on additional police officers. The SAFER grants allowed us to help us fund Fire Station number 9 and the officers. But again, these grants that we get from the federal government, they only last for so many years. And a lot of times, I remember sitting in the audience and you would see the fire chief and the police chief bring these grants, and you can see the city council's face just light up. Oh, it's free money. Well, nothing's free. And when you do get something free, it's going to expire at the wall. Nobody asked the question, how are we going to fund these officers and firefighters when the grants expire? That was not asked. And that is part of the $8 million deficit, is that those grants are expiring. And now we have to, the taxpayers are responsible for footing the entire bill for the pay and equipment and everything else for those officers. And that is something that the city is going to be faced with for years to come, because the city received a COPS grant in 2014, another one in 2015, and I was under the impression that the chief of police was going to apply for another one. And it sounds good right now, but how are we going to pay for it? And I'm opposed to pushing any of the financial burden on taxpayers.
Sure, because we didn't ask for it.
Right. And so I think when these expenditures come, we really have to do a better job of asking the hard questions. For example, Tuesday, and I want to get off track, Tuesday, there is an item on the agenda that the police department is asking for $540,000 to purchase 9 vehicles. And regardless if those vehicles are needed, we have to sit back and say, do we have the money? Are the citizens and taxpayers willing to take a property tax increase or utility rate increase to pay for these new vehicles? And that is when the public comes in. And I would tell you, if the citizens came to me and they say, hey, we want to hire 20 new officers without a grant, we need 20 new vehicles, and we are willing to take a property tax increase for that, then I would have reservations, but I would yield to the will of the citizens.
Right.
But the presentation is not being done in that way. And I would tell you, every Friday I get my entire city council packet, which looks a little different than what you see on the website. I post it on my Facebook campaign page, so you can see everything I see as a council member. And I create Facebook events too to encourage citizens to show up.
Yeah, you really do, which is great, because people are more, since we are a social media world, but people are more apt to say to say something, because I read the posts and people are more apt to say something or say, I didn't like that, I didn't understand that, because you explained one time why you voted a certain way, and everybody commented on that, the fact that they liked the fact that you did that, because you said you were going on the stance of transparency, and that's what you're doing, and that's what people aren't getting. Are we too top heavy? Is our city staffed too top heavy?
Yes, we are too top heavy. Previous city managers have created departments that we don't need. Created departments. They've also beefed up staff and basically created duties and responsibilities just to justify why they need those positions. And we are. And if you look at our chief of police, he's right at $155,000 a year. Our city attorney makes $156,000. Our interim city manager is $145,000. We have our public information officer that makes $108,000 a year.
And does what? Okay, anyway, I do that on the radio.
And it is, and it's to a point to where we've become so top heavy to where we have the bottom sector of our city employees that are basically starving.
Yeah.
And again, in this proposed budget, the cost of living adjustment is frozen. There are no new positions, coming aboard because it is top heavy. I think that several departments need to be merged together. There are so many department heads, and in just about every department you would see there is a principal secretary, then an executive assistant, and then assistant, and it is so many positions and so much waste in the top sector of our city. So yes, we are top heavy, and that is something that we need to deal with now sooner than later, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt, but that is one of our main responsibilities as city council member, is to watch over their hard-earned money, taxpayers, to ensure that funds are managed and spent efficiently and effectively, and that includes across the board.
Because I sent you and another council person an email, a text, because there's one person that got promoted, but he's still doing the same job that he did when he had the other position, but he got promoted in the old position. I'm like, this is confusing. He's doing the same job, but it's relabeled, so it sounds cute, but the label naturally gives you more money, so it's not it was created out of whatever. So if you look at some of the employees and what they do, you're like, but you did this then, and you just got moved up, but you're still doing the same thing. Now I got to fill your position that you had. No.
Well, I will tell you, I've seen it happen time after time, but what is tough for council members is, based on the charter, the city manager is responsible for the hiring and firing.
Right.
And so the interim city manager can create positions without approval from council, because that is her responsibility based on the charter. Now, what I can do as a council member is that if I don't agree with that decision, the council as a whole can vote to defund that department. Right. And so, it's kind of like Congress when they don't like something that the president's doing. Hey, that's fine, do executive order, but we're not going to give you any money to do it. So. But it is something that goes on all the time, and it needs to stop.
Because it's caused our city to be relaxed. And what I mean by relaxed is you got so many people doing so many things till everybody is relaxed. I'll say I go see the city secretary and I see two people who sit there all the time. I'm like, what are they doing? And then I find out their secretaries for who? Yeah, I'm like, well, for who? What? I'm not understanding. I said, we got secretaries all over the place at our city, and I'm like, we got secretaries for everybody. I want to know, does the custodian have a secretary too? Everybody else has one. Do they have one? And then the secretary has a secretary. Really? To me, when your secretary has a secretary, something's wrong in this department over here. Because that's not needed. We're not Austin, we're not Dallas, where they could command that, because they got way over the population of people we have. So I could understand, that, but we're Killeen. We don't have 300,000 people in Killeen.
Well, it's happened time after time. I remember when I used to sit in the audience and staff would do a awesome, fantastic presentation. I mean, be very persuasive on why they needed this position or they needed this type of equipment. And the question would be asked is, can we afford it? Or we in the black? Yes, we're good. We have the money, and that would be it. And then we would vote for it. And the next thing you know, we are in the red. And
so they don't show them. No one comes up. And what you're saying is that when they're asking for this, no one's saying in black and white, show me where we got the funds to do this.
Yeah, just show where you have the funds. Like for example, on this proposed budget, we are going down by departments, and you can see the expenditures based on the sectors. You have salary, supplies, maintenance, support services, benefits, and professional services, where a lot of these line items have been switched around to supposedly make it more efficient. And so in fiscal year 2015-2016, this line item may have 0, and then you go up and propose for fiscal year 2017 goes from 0 the last 2 years to $247,000, and the answer is always, oh, that is from this account line item. Hang on. So what I requested was the last workshop meeting. I said, I'm confused. I need to track where the money is going. So what I need is that for every line item that you have switched around and moved it into this line item, I need to see it. Right. That way I can track the money. You know, at the end of the day, it's about asking those hard questions that senior staff may not necessarily want you to answer, but it's the questions that you need to ask because the taxpayers are depending on you. You are in that seat. And so do your homework, ask the good questions, and make the right decision.
Because, you know, when we find out about shortages, we look at the council. We look at the city manager, too. But we look at the council also because people still have and they look at the mayor. People have a misconception of how city is ran. They don't know we have a city manager form of government instead of a mayor's form of government. So people get confused and attack everybody. But mostly we go to the city council because the city council states that we're here for you. And then when we find out that we're short of money, we're like, well, you were here for somebody else. You weren't here for us because you allowed us to be short some money. And then you look at, like I said, you look at the city manager says, well, you asked for raises for people. And then you look at the council. So you didn't ask them how much money we got before you gave the raise. You just said, okay, you know, so it goes back to say, well, you all didn't ask for the paperwork or the finance sheet or up-to-date budget to say, yes, we have that money right there, right here. So we're holding you all accountable for all this. And for years, we've been holding you all accountable, and you all took our accountability and threw it in the garbage somewhere because we're at this point right now. Because if nothing happens next year, how many millions are we going to be short? Because we're not fixing the problem. We're creating a bigger problem. Because last year, it wasn't 8 million. I forgot how much it was last year, but it wasn't 8 million. So this year's 8. Well, what's going to be next year? 10, 12? And when does the council say, hold it, stop? We're just going to stop everything. We're going to freeze the city until we fix this issue. Because that's what, to me, that's what needs to happen. The city needs to be froze until everything is actually fixed. But we've been relying on the council to do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's definitely, I would tell you, it's frustrating for me coming on. I mean,
as a new person.
Yeah, as a new person. And I know why I ran for office. And there are things that I had to put on hold now because I'm taking care of somebody else's mess.
Yeah.
Excuse me, lack of
well, no, that's true. It is.
I am taking care of stuff that should have been taken care of before. So now, areas that I ran on, and now I'm elected to do those things, my hands are tied because I have to clean up somebody else's mess. And I do ask questions. I will continue to ask questions. That is what I'm here for. And so, but yeah, it is a bad situation. I do believe that we will find a way out of this. But it is going to be up to the citizens and taxpayers going forward to ensure they do their part by holding us accountable. And that means showing up to the city council meetings and audience. And that means emailing us or calling us and reminding us what our responsibilities are. Then, it definitely takes that sometimes. And I would tell you that I think this is kind of a wake-up call with the issues that we're facing, because this is something that has been brewing for years. It's just now all of a sudden there is a council. A majority of us are, what's the word? Penny pinchers.
Okay, good.
And so it's to a point to where more of us are asking questions. And so fix the issue, but going forward, citizens and taxpayers need to, hold us more accountable.
Okay, so everybody listen. Text them to death.
Text us.
Text them.
Call us.
See, if you text them to death, you would drive them utterly crazy because the phone is going, and after a while, it gets on. To me, text them till it gets on their nerve. Text them until they get on your nerve enough where they call you and say, hey, listen, I need to sit down and meet with you because you're texting me to death. Then that's when you got their attention. I'm a union officer, so, we agree with, we're about pushing you till you call us and talk to us because you realize that we have a sheet of questions.
Well, it's good. I would tell you on my Facebook page, facebook.com/vote for Gregory. On there, I have a post that I did that breaks down and describes in brief summary what type of items that come before the city council agenda. public hearings, resolutions, and ordinance, and it tells you who you can contact if you want to get on the agenda to speak. And I would tell you that if citizens have any concerns, anything that is not listed on the agenda, at the first of every workshop and regular meeting, there's a public comment period, and you can come for 3 minutes. Now, all our meetings are on Tuesdays, and so the Wednesday prior to at 1400, that's the deadline to contact Judy, which is 254-501-7700, and tell her your name, contact information, and what you want to talk about. It's automatically approved. She can't disapprove it. And then it comes on the top of agenda, and you can come in and tell the council the issues that you're having and what you want done about it.
You know what? I'll tell you why a lot of people don't come speak before the council, and it's one thing, just one, and it'll be for me too. My address is a P.O. box, but when I stand before the council, I can't say that. So a lot of people don't want to give their address. And that stops people right there, because you got to tell them your address, and it's for the whole world to know. Well, a lot of us, like I said, do what we do in the community, so we use a P.O. box for safety purposes. But when you get on there, I can't say my address is P.O. box, I can't say that. I have to say where I live. A lot of people don't go before the council simply because of that one thing, that they got to tell their address. And everybody want to know why I got to tell them my address. If I tell the secretary when I fill out to say I'm coming to speak, if I fill that paper out and give her my address, why then must I say it again when I get up there, when she's got it already on a piece of paper? She's already verified it. So if she's got it on a piece of paper, why I got to say it publicly? So a lot of people won't come, and that's just that one little reason. They don't mind saying their name, and I'm a resident of the killeen. They'll say that, but you gotta give your address, and everybody doesn't want to do that, because you have victims who've been victimized in our city, and if they want to come before the council, you asking them to be victimized again because they gotta give their address. Right. You see what I mean? That's the problem that people are having about coming. Okay.
Well, I tell you what, with that, there are some gray areas that allow you not to say your name on record, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, see, people that's yes. Something people don't know.
So if you want to come, just say your name and say that you have concerns about releasing your address to the public, and then you can continue on with your testimony.
Because see, that's why I said a lot of people, I want to go, I'm not giving my address. And like I said, I've talked to a lot of people who've been victimized elsewhere, but they don't want the person to know where they live. Well, that person might be one of those lovely people who listen to them and go, oh, that's where she live. Oh, okay, that's where he live. All right. So yeah, you can. They don't realize you can make yourself a target. You're making people almost a target when they get up. But that's what I hear a whole bunch of people say. I'm not speaking because I'm not getting my address.
Yeah, well, it's also that, and I've seen citizens come before. They would give their name, phone number, and they would give a work address or a family member's address.
Right.
Just an address. That's it. So.
But yeah, that stops people from coming. Okay, our audit, because we're doing an audit, correct? Are we doing an audit this year? No, are we being audited this year, or is someone doing an audit for us?
Now, I remember during the campaign trail, there were a few council members that were in support of a forensic audit.
Yes,
and it is something that is needed. I support doing a forensic audit. My concern is the cost.
Yes, because it'll be expensive.
Now, I know we do have a internal audit that reports directly to the council, and so what may happen in the near future after we get the budget approved and balanced, actually balanced this time, is to work as a council to identify certain areas that we want her to audit.
Right.
And a forensic audit goes deep. It actually matches up receipts with the outgoing funds. So it is something that is needed. And even if we don't find anything, I think it will leave the citizens and taxpayers at rest, to where they're relieved that has been done. Because I always read the Facebook comments throughout Facebook, and and you can tell by the anger from citizens and taxpayers how they degrade and trash council members and the image of the city, is that, you know, there's a lot of anger that they automatically just don't trust us starting out. And that is one of the reasons why I try to be transparent on Facebook, is, you know, put the agendas on there, tell them what's been discussed, and when I vote a certain way, put that out there. But, you know, it's something going forward that the citizens should know, that I'm not perfect, but there are members of this council that do care for the citizens and taxpayers, and we're trying to do everything that we can. So that's just a bridge builder that hopefully citizens and taxpayers take a little bit of time and give us a chance, give me a chance. I would tell you that I am working for you. That is, you know, core reason why I ran. I wanted Killeen to be the place where people wanted to work, play, and grow their families, and that's regardless of economical or social status. So I am here for you. I am your representative, but I need you to meet me halfway.
I've been something I mentioned, but someone reminded me last night that I need to say it again. When we had the last police community forum, number one, it was out of control, and it was out of control because the sense for the people. I sat in the back, and I fought the city council for sitting up front, but I sat in the back, and in the back, everybody faulted the panel because they said the people on the panel weren't communicating with the citizens, so the agenda was not aligned with what people wanted. It was the alignment was way off. It was so far off it didn't make sense. But my thing one is, I think when we have a panel discussion such as the police community forum, I think the council needs to sit strategically there and not all together up front, because then you miss your public. You had people out in the foyer who wanted to say something, but when the mayor got up there and talked about roads, people left because people were hurting, and you felt their hurt. And like I said, sitting in the back, I heard more of the meeting in the back than I heard you. Their meeting in the back was much more interesting than what was going on in the front, because what was going on with them was there. The lady with the sign, she came because that was the only way she thought she could be seen and heard. But she expected a council person to come back and say what's going on, but it didn't happen. It ended up being some other people doing that. So I think with our city hurting and the disconnect between the police department and the citizens, that needs to be resolved, because of even though what's going on has not happened here, doesn't mean it won't happen here, and doesn't mean other things are happening here, because all the things you heard people asking questions about were faults that the police department could not answer, which means they're unsolved and the disconnect is gone. One lady said that her son was murdered last year and she's yet to see the police chief, and she had to call around to find out where her son's body was being taken. That should never happen. So I think that the council needs to figure out a way with the police chief to heal this, because if not, we're going to have something totally out of control that the police department and the city will be going behind it instead of ahead of it. And my other thing is this: other cities, the city managers, have came forth to talk about the healing of the city, and ours has not. Neither has any of our city council people stepped up and did open press release, news conference to say, you know, the uneasiness of have addressed it at all. It hasn't been addressed. So what it still looks like is that you lift up the carpet and all of them are being swept over it, and that's it. So I think that a city council person or the city manager, someone needs to do their press conference to talk about the healing that needs to be done. I mean, Dr. Ferris was there, so she was in the back too. She heard some of it because she was back there, but nobody's addressed it yet. So basically, the door is still shut for them. It's not open, and there is no open door policy. To them, the door is still shut. So that's got to be fixed, because our city can't continue with this uneasiness going on. As you know, something happens. So we need to.
I know that's your first curveball.
You knew one had to come.
I knew it was going to be one. But no, I do agree with you. I will tell you that I had talked to the chief and told him that I was going to do a Facebook event because I wanted citizens to know that they are wanted to show up to this community forum to express their opinion, issues, and to help build that trust and relationship between citizens and law enforcement officials. Normally they rotate between North and South Killeen. I was opposed from the start. I think that once the issue really blew up with the recent shootings, that the location should have automatically been moved to a larger facility such as the Killeen Civic and Conference Center. I was told that the location was booked. However, when you take something like crime, that is a top concern. That is something that could have been worked out to where whoever had booked that, I think the city could have came in and overridden and said, hey, we need this room because this is the issue that we're facing, and this is on the minds of all citizens. So I know the next forum is going to be in North Killeen, but
December, yes.
It still needs to be at a larger location, and even that location is not large enough. I would tell you, it's not that council members don't care, because we do care. I can tell you, I can't speak for anybody else, but I do care about crime. I ran on crime prevention. I'm a big fan of community police and getting more officers out of the vehicles, boots on grounds in neighborhoods, knocking on doors, building trust and relationship between citizens and themselves. But the way the city structure is set up, council members are warned we only paid $100 a month.
Yeah.
And we're actually only paid every third month. We have no staff. The only thing we get is an iPad, a cell phone, and business cards. And so we depend on citizens. We depend on our expertise or the resources of our companies to use office space. Even like when I meet with a citizen, I have to go to a coffee shop. And what happens is that council is so overwhelmed at times with everything that goes on all at once, and we have minimum support. And so I think that needs to change to where council members get more support to allow us to do our job, which is to represent our citizens. And that is something that's going to have to be addressed sooner than later. If you take now as the individual council member, I would tell you between text calls and Facebook messages, I get about 3 to 5 a day. And that may not seem like a lot, but each citizen that contacts me or reaches out to me, they are looking for an answer. And it's very rare are the issues small, like, hey, there's a stoplight out, or can you put a stop sign up, a stop sign here. These are major issues, and I'm putting a bill to find research, to do research, to work with city staff to find the real answers and solve that problem for that citizen, just for one of them. And so again, it's the resources that we need more of, because if not, citizens are not going to be happy. They're going to continue to feel that disconnect between city council members. And I would tell you, in the past, the notion has always been city staff are the experts, council members are just a governing board, and whatever the experts say that is gold. Don't do your own research, vote yes or vote no based on what city staff says, and then that's it. And that is not the way to do things. But when you look at the resources council members have, a lot of the information is held with city staff. And so even before I vote on each issue, I have to go, to city staff, get the information to hand, but I have to do my own research. And then I have to have facts too, because if a staff member's opposed to your ideal, then staff, they have all the resources and manpower to find the facts or twist them to basically outflank you. And so it's definitely a tricky issue. I would tell you another difficult issue is that as a council member, I try to give the mayor, since he is the leader of our city, he's a ceremonial head, I try to give him not first deals, but give him the first opportunity to come out, because For instance, I know I took flack from several of my colleagues because they felt like I was trying to tell them what to do or trying to run the city. And I would tell you, after we had a string of shootings in our own city, I waited a little bit. I waited to give the chief of police, to give the mayor an opportunity, because people were hurting. They're already frustrated. They're already angry. They don't trust city staff or the council as it is. And then that was a perfect opportunity for the new leadership to step up and say, you know, we are aware of what's going on. We can't tell you all the facts. We are concerned, and this is how we're going to go about it to try to prevent this from not happening again. That came out later, so that's when I sent the email, sent the letter to the mayor and interim city manager. That is something that council members do deal with, as well as that I try to not micromanage staff. Try not to overstep the mayor and his responsibilities. So you know, it is tricky overall. You know, trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, give him first deal, give him the first opportunity to address any issue as our mayor. And then if that doesn't happen, and then I step forward, I have no problem stepping forward, as you well know. But I also don't want to be seen as a renegade, as a troublemaker. When issues arrive, I have to be strategic about it. There's a reason about it. And also getting the facts too, because a lot of times I would have citizens come to me with issues, but they're only telling me one side of the coin. And so, you know, I meet with them, I get the issues, get their facts, and then I go back and ask city staff, or I do my own research. And then once I have the complete story, because once I go out there and say, mayor and city manager, council, we have a problem, and I didn't get the inside of the story, then I look like a fool.
Right.
And I know sometimes citizens are passionate about issues, but in order for the issue to be resolved the right way, correctly, is for all the facts to be there. Because to get anything done on council, it takes 4 votes, not 1.
Yeah, that's true.
So
do you think after you all go through the budget and realize that there's some positions that need to be defunded and some shift changing needs to be made, which would probably mean losing a couple of people or whatever, somewhere in that shift change, there would be a vacant desk and chair for the council use to meet with people?
Yes, I think it will be. I remember the mayor when he was running. At that time, I remember the mayor wanted a office, a desk and a chair that we all could share. I'm not sure what happened with that. Maybe it's because of the issues that we're facing right now. That is probably been put on the back burner. But I would love to have a office phone and a desk that citizens can come to City Hall to meet. And you know, it's again, that structure has to change. Council members need more resources. Our city charter and structure is based on a population of 30,000. Our population is almost $141,000, and the more that we diversify, the more that our population grows. The citizens are demanding more from their elected officials, and that means that our elected officials, such as myself, we need more resources to be able to meet their needs.
Okay, now I have the question. We had 2 assistant city managers. One, they decided not to open it up, so it shut down. Where did the funds for that go? Because they're not going to hire the second person.
That's a good question.
He retired, and so they just shut that position down. Where does that money go? Because that's some money. So does it hang around for us, or does it go somewhere?
I would say in this proposed budget, it has for fiscal year 17, it has the city manager's proposed budget for her department at $639,000. John Sutton was assistant city manager for external services. He retired. It has that proposed budget as 0. It was actually, everything was yanked out of it.
Okay, so so from the time he left to right now, where did that money go?
I can't speak
Okay.
on
Where it went.
this current year, but I can only speak on what's being proposed in this budget, and it's all zeroed out. I will tell you, I asked for a couple reports. The city was short $2 million for this current budget. This year ends September 30th, and so I do have a scrub that I'm looking through now to see what was actually cut, and I imagine without looking at it, those funds were used to probably used to balance this year's budget.
Okay,
So,
when the city manager, who's actually in control, moves money from A to help because there's a couple of $1,000 in A that C needs, and they shift the money to from A to C, does the city council get to find out about that?
council has to is notified when it's $50,000 or more.
Okay.
So I will tell you that it definitely does happen, and there are shifting of funds. There's commingling of funds. That stuff does go on, but a lot of these funds are in the general fund, so they can legally most of the time be moved around.
So is it that they don't have to tell you, they don't tell you, or can you ask to be told? What is it?
Yes, it can be asked to be told. Now, I tell you something that I'm requesting is that quarterly the city council receives a quarterly financial report. And what I requested as well was account transfers.
Right.
The quarterly period that fell below the $50,000
Okay.
mark.
Right.
So that is something that I've requested already, and so hopefully at the next quarterly financial we receive, we will also get that information.
Because if they only have to tell you about anything over 50,000, that means every few months I can transfer so much to get to that, but I don't have to tell you because I didn't, in one lump sum of time, I didn't do that. But I kept sliding it. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, it can definitely, definitely happen.
Yeah.
If you want to move something around, I mean, actually, the interim city manager can, every second of the day, they can move $49,999
Right, yeah.
without council approval. So I would like to move that all the way down to 10,000. And it seems like it's borderline micromanaging, but with the financial troubles that we have, I have concerns that our city staff continues to overspend and that we can't properly manage taxpayer dollars. And that means that we have to be real hands-on with the city's finances. Then that's what it's going to need to be until we get to a point to where council can let up. So.
But I wouldn't say micromanaging, because I'll say if you live in a household with just you or a family, whatever, when you overspend 1 month, you have to micromanage the next month. You know what I mean? You do it in your own house. So it's not like the city should be upset about that, because you have to do it at your house. If you want to buy this month and it's way out of your budget, then next month, okay, I got to cook all my dinner at home. I can't eat out. I can't drive all these. That you have to micromanage yourself to get back to where you need to be because you overspent 1 month. So the city should be held up under the same accountability. If they spend way out of the month, no, you can't shift money over there because you overspent over here for no reason at all, just because it was the day of and somebody needed something. So I wouldn't say it was micromanaging. It's actually you need to pay attention to how y'all monthly spending money until you can get it right. Because according to the newspaper, one of the councilmen said this has been going on since 2004. Okay, well then, yes, they need to be micromanaged. If this has been going on since 2004, and we get to this point now, okay, then micromanagement need to happen, because obviously the simple management isn't going on. You are going through the budget process is not working, because you go through it and you do all your things you do, and then we end up right back in the same area of nightmare we end up with. So. Yeah, if they got to be micro, do that.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely tough. I would tell you, I voted against a few funding requests at this last budget meeting that really irked staff, because normally what's always been done is that council would approve the proposed budget after whatever change has been made, and staff will always come later on and say, I want $1.5 million to purchase 2 fire engines. And then at the end of their presentation, they would say it's already budgeted in this year's budget. And so council members will automatically disapprove it because they're thinking that staff is living within their means of what they proposed and that was approved in this budget. But it's our responsibility to look at each item request individually, and also to reevaluate. Just because it's only estimated, these revenues, it's estimated that the city, for this year's budget, that the city is going to bring in $176 million in revenues. Now the expenditures for this proposed year is $204 million. Well, even though it's proposed that we're going to bring in $176 million in revenues, anything could happen to where we may not. Hotel occupancy sales, could go down. Sales tax could go down. Utility rates, water bill. I mean, those revenue sources could go down to where we may not raise that amount of money. And so it's going to be up to us as councils to look quarterly and look monthly at these financial reports and say, Madam City Manager, in January you said that we were going to receive $20 million in revenue, but based on this financial report, we've only brought in $17 million. So that means that's a $3 million shortfall right off the bat in 1 month. So where are we cutting? Because if you don't do that, and staff continues to bring items up for approval, and then that's how we get into this mess. I refuse to get into this mess. I don't care if the vote is 6-1 and I'm the only one in opposition. I will be more hands-on with this budget, even as a lone vote.
Okay, I want to. First of all, you know what he said? I'm gonna tell you what Greg said. When he came on, he said, "I'm not gonna need an hour. It's not gonna take an hour." No, it's not. I said, "Yes, it is." No, it's not. I should have bet him lunch for this one because it's been an hour.
Well, I would say one thing. Definitely, thanks for having me on. City's website. There's a phone number, email address for every city council member. Citizens can click on go to killeen.youtube.gov, and on the home page at the top right column, it has elected officials. Click on there. It has our nice, beautiful, smiling faces, has our phone number, has our email addresses. The city council meets every Tuesday, either at City Hall or the works utility collections. Normally the meetings start at 1700, but since we're in budget season, we'll start at 1600. Citizens are always invited. Please come out to listen, to become informed, also to ask questions. Even if you can't ask it during the discussion, wait and grab one of us after the meeting's over and talk to us. And that's also the best way to get a hold of a council member. If you're having trouble getting a hold of by phone or email, we are there. We are required to be there every Tuesday, and we cannot avoid you.
That's very true. Okay, Greg, I want to thank you for coming on and informing us and talking to us frankly, without dancing around the answers, because some people are master dancers, and
it's hard to dance around with you. I just give you what you want, so you leave me alone.
Did y'all hear that? He sounds like I harassed him.
I
just keep him informed.
Too. Yeah.
But I want to thank everyone for listening to Kids Community Connections this morning. I hope you learned a whole lot. If you didn't, I don't know why you didn't learn a lot, but you also need to learn that we need to pitch in. If we see something that we want to know, I think it's a concern, like the fire department, trucks and HEB, they are there every Saturday morning. Sunday mornings, they are there, because when I go, I see them. So they are really there. And but if you have any other thing, contact your council people and learn that, and if one don't call you back, don't discount them, call another one. Keep calling until somebody calls you back. Don't say I called one, and because if I called my city council person, he never calls me back. So, and he knows it anyway, but I call everybody else, so whatever. But I want to thank everyone for listening to Kids Community Connections, 103.1 Kiss FM. I want you to always remember, you cannot lead a positive life with a negative mind. We'll talk to you next Sunday. Bye now.